Hi, hello, and welcome back to my booktube channel. This time around I thought I would do the Midyear Freakout Tag, which is basically just a bunch of questions about my reading year so far, and what I'm anticipating in the remaining month of the year, because it's almost the end of June. I thought that would be probably a very fun idea, and I would get to talk about a bunch of books that I've already read and that I'm anticipating to read. So yeah, this tag has been around on BookTube for quite a while already. I remember watching Midyear Freakout tags back in the day, and yeah, I just thought it would be a fun video to do. The first prompt is the best book that I've read so far in 2023. And I looked at because I have a spreadsheet with all the books that I read and all the ratings that I've given the book, how long it takes me to read them. And I was actually surprised to see that I haven't given that many books 5 stars. I had 5-star reads so far, but because I was rereading Stormlight Archives, I think 4 of these books were Stormlight Archives books and rereads, which I decided not to bring up. So the only other book that I gave 5 stars, which I've already talked about on this channel, is The Sun and the Stars by... I'm also realizing that I always held it here, so I'm doing that again. The Sun and the Star by Rick Riordan and Mark Oshiro. This is about Nico and Will, 2 half demigods at Camp Half-Blood, who have to go on a quest because Nico keeps hearing voices, and they're the best couple in Camp Half-Blood. I already mentioned that this probably wouldn't have gotten 5 stars had it not been for nostalgia, but still, I absolutely love this, and it would definitely have been a 4.5 even without nostalgia. So yeah, I can only recommend this book, but please be aware that there are potential spoilers for previous series in here. So for example, Trials of Apollo you should have read before you dive into this, because there's a major spoiler for that series, which I think happens in the 3rd book. Yeah, so be aware of that. But I don't have to tell you. I love this series. I love Percy Jackson. I love the world, all of the books in that, and this is just the latest entry that I'm really, really fond of. And then the other book that is one of the best books I've read so far, which I've also talked about, so it will be brief, is World Running Down by Al Hess, which I also mentioned in my previous video. I gave this 4.75 stars because there were just some tiny things that that kept me from giving it a full 5, but it was still super enjoyable. I really, really loved it. I loved the characters. I loved the topics that were discussed, and I just loved the world too. And I'm hoping that there may or may not be... No, I'm hoping that there are future books in this series, in this world. Maybe with the same characters. I would love to see them again. Okay, then the next prompt for the Midyear Freakout Tag is what is the best sequel that you've read? And once again, I consulted my spreadsheet because I don't remember all the books that I've read. It's been 67 so far this year, so yeah, I read a lot. But I also include short stories in that, which is a hack if you want to read a lot and have a lot of books included in your reading challenge. Just put all of the graphic novels you read, all the novellas, all the short stories, everything you find, you just put in. Yeah. So I also came to the realization that I haven't really picked up that many sequels. Most of the sequels, again, were Stormlight Archives sequels, which I didn't count because it was a reread, even though I really, really loved it, even on reread, and I enjoyed it a lot. But I decided to include a short story collection, which is Memories Legion by James S.A. Corey. This book didn't come out, or this collection rather, didn't come out this year but last year, and I had to wait for the smaller edition because this usually comes out in a bigger format first and then they re-release it in the smaller format. And because of all the other books, the previous 9 books in the main series, I had to wait for this. So this basically is just a collection of short stories which were released between the books in the series, and this just collects everything. And I think there's also a new short story that was just written for, or that was just included and published in this one, and I really, really enjoyed it. I loved going back to the world of The Expanse. Yeah, I think The Expanse is one of my favorite sci-fi series. It's a great space opera, and I was hooked. The characters were great, the character constellations and all the politics, the intrigue, the world building in this series is out of this world, literally, because it takes place in space. Oh my god. Look at me making funny jokes. Yeah, so this was definitely super enjoyable, and I think I gave it like 4.5 stars, so it's really, really good. And a great way to round out this reading experience of The Expanse. And I'm also contemplating if I should go back and reread the series again, because it was really good and I miss it. Okay, the next prompt is, what is a new release that you haven't gotten to reading yet? And there's a lot, to be honest. I have multiple pre-orders that still have to come, that still have to arrive, but a few of those that I already own, I will mention 3 very briefly. The first one is The Surviving Sky by Kritika H. Rao, which is about flying cities. And then there's an archaeologist wife, I think, and the husband is the architect for the city. And it's basically a danger of falling from the sky. So I don't know much else. I think the cover is absolutely stunning. Look at this. Amazing. Yeah, and it's just very intriguing to me. So I'm hoping that I can read this soon. The next book, or the second one that I have, is The Lost War by Justin Lee Anderson, which is, I think, won SBFBO, so the self-published fantasy block off, in, I want to say, 2019 maybe, 2020? Something along those lines. So in one of the previous years, this has won. It was self-published and has been now picked up by Orbit and was re-released this year. I now have the Orbit version, so I didn't get the self-published one, but I'm very excited for this. I have no idea what this is about. I know it's fantasy. I've heard multiple people talk about that they enjoyed this book, but I'm not sure what the magic system is. I just have it, and I'm excited to read it. And the last one that I'm mentioning is The Sword Defiant by Gareth Hanrahan. Yeah, Hanrahan. Which all I know about this is that there is a sentient sentient sword in this, which I absolutely love. One of the examples that I can think of is, for example, Nightblood in the Warbreaker book by Brandon Sanderson, which is also a speaking sword that is sentient and has a mind of its own every time. Yeah. Okay, great. So, yeah, so I'm really enjoying... It's Sunday. So I'm really... I think I really enjoyed this trope. I haven't read too many books with this topic and a character like this, but I'm very excited for this, and I also think that the cover of this book is really nice. The sword looks really cool, so yeah, I'm hoping that I can start this soon, or rather than later, too. Okay, the next prompt for the Midyear Freakout Tag is an anticipated release for the second half of 2023, and I actually have 2, which I thought I would mention. The first one is The Chalice of the Gods by Rick Riordan, the 6th book in the Percy Jackson series, which comes out, I think, in September sometime. Yeah, I have it pre-ordered already. I am absolutely loving the idea of getting to read about Percy in college. And yeah, seeing what he gets up to when he's in college. Because it's closer to the age that I am now, so I think I can relate more than when I'm rereading. I'm planning to reread the Percy Jackson books, the other ones, in preparation for the sixth book. But I'm super excited for Percy being grown up, and more mature, more of an adult, in the sixth book. So yeah, I'm super excited for that one. And then the other book that I'm excited for and anticipating is Starter Villain by John Scalzi. I don't actually remember when it's supposed to come out. I want to say September too, maybe October. But I can't look it up and just put it here. So, Starter Villain is basically the blurb on the back says something along the lines of that you inherit the evil empire of your uncle, who was a supervillain, and then you get there, and then you find out that management is a bunch of cats that can speak. So that just sounds super ridiculous, and I'm just excited for it. I thought the thought alone just amused me, so I'm hoping it will be rather silly. I haven't actually read anything by John Scalzi yet, but I hear his writing is usually in that area, maybe reminiscent of Douglas Adams and stuff like that. So I'm really hoping that I can get my hands on it, and yeah, that I will enjoy it. The next prompt is the biggest disappointment of the year so far, and for me, I have disregarded the short stories that I had to read for university, some of which I gave 1 star because they were awful. So the book that I've chosen for this prompt is Persephone Station by Stina Leicht, if you're German like me. Yeah. This is a sci-fi book about basically a crew of people. Actually, it hasn't been that long, but I don't remember that much. But it's a crew of people who go around and they have to, I think there's a heist involved, something along those lines. I'm not reading the back. So, yeah, this I read. It was pretty forgettable, as I'm now realizing too. The writing is what killed this for me, because the writing was awful. There were scenes where characters talk and speak to each other. There was dialogue, and all the tags for the dialogues were just da-da-da said, and blank asked, blank said. And it repeated for 20 times on one page. It was basically unbearable, and I probably would have stopped had I not listened to this on audiobook, which didn't make it better. So yeah, be aware of that. I think I would have enjoyed this more. I didn't hate the plot, but the writing was just so bad that I couldn't give this more than a 2 stars. And I actually really hoped that I would enjoy this. The next prompt, and also a 180-degree turn from the previous one, is the biggest surprise of 2023, and that for me was The Adventures of Amina Al-Sarafi by Shannon Chakraborty, which, look at the stunning cover. Amazing. Yeah. So this is about Amina Al-Sarafi, a pirate. She is actually retired, and then she gets pulled back into the world of piracy and seafaring and just going around on her boat, on her ship, and reassembling her crew. And I really, really, really loved it. I hadn't expected that. I haven't read anything by S.A. or Shannon Chakraborty yet. This was the first one, and I absolutely loved the characters. I loved the thought of Amina being a middle-aged woman who was already a mother, and her having to go back to sea and being a pirate. I thought that was a really nice different take, because usually, I don't know, I'm not reading YA that much anymore, but usually the main characters I read about are like mid-20s, but this was actually a woman in her 40s, which was really nice. I really liked the magic in here. There were Jinn, and I really enjoyed reading about the Jinn character too. I don't remember his name. Raksh, I want to say. And it was just enjoyable all around. So when the next book in the series comes out, I will definitely pick it up as quickly as I can. So the next prompt is a new favorite author, which I'm taking this as new to me author and not debut author, because I haven't read that many debuts so far this year. But new to me favorite author of the year is definitely Edgar Allan Poe. I have a collection of short stories and poems by him. I started reading Poe because of a class at university that I had to read a bunch of short stories for, and so far I haven't even read that many. I think I've read like 4 of his short stories, but I was pretty much floored with all of them. I love rereading them and getting more understanding, seeing more stuff, finding out more, thinking about the things that he wrote, because this guy was a genius. So yeah, I have a bunch more because I haven't even scratched the surface with this collection, and I'm thinking about getting maybe a collection of all of his works so I can continue reading them, which I'm not saying that they're not problematic at times, because I'm sure they are. But I am capable of critical thinking, and I'm capable of questioning stuff that I read. So I'm really, really enjoying this. I'm not taking it just at face value. I love thinking about what it means, what it could mean, what it could symbolize, and Poe is just a master at doing that in his short stories. Like writing something and then you have to really think about what that's supposed to mean. And I love it. So Poe is definitely my answer for my new favorite author. Okay, so the next prompt is a favorite new character, and the book that I talked about before, World Running Down by Al Hess, I am choosing Osric, the AI trapped in an android body in that book, because Osric is just a puppy. I love him. He's very innocent, doesn't really understand his new body and his new existence yet, so he's pretty dependent on Valentine, who he meets. And I just absolutely loved reading about Osric. I thought some of his interactions were just adorable, and I might go back to reread some of the scenes because they just made me smile. And then the other one is George from Lockwood & Co., which I only have to read this book, so this is the 5th book in the series, and it's the one that I haven't read because I had to keep waiting to meet my friend again so I could borrow the book from her. I absolutely love George. George is precious, and he must be protected at all costs. And I'm really enjoying the books, even though they're middle grade, I guess, and I'm making like an exception to read them because I usually wouldn't, but I was recommended this by friends, so I definitely had to read it, and my god, I'm not regretting it at all that I have picked this up, and I really like the series, and I'm excited to read the last book, and also sad because it's the last book. The next prompt is a book that made you cry this year, and I have chosen The Paper Menagerie and Other Stories by Ken Liu, which is the only thing by Ken Liu that I have read so far. So this is a collection of short stories by him, and there were multiple things in this that made me cry. I think the one that made me cry the most was The Literal Manster, which was just oh my god. So basically it's about a child who I think moves to China. I don't remember. Or Taiwan. I think it was Taiwan. So a child that moves there and then meets an old neighbor, and they bond, and then the neighbor kind of teaches the child about Chinese and the writing system and everything, and that there's magic in that. And then I think that's what I'm remembering. Yeah. So basically that, and then the father of the child works for the American government, and they think that the man is a spy, and then it spirals from there. And it was really hard-hitting. It was really sad. It was really tragic, but I really liked it. I loved it. It made me emotional, so a great short story. And then the Paper Menagerie, the eponymous short story for this collection, is also really, really good, and I enjoyed a lot of the works in here, so I can only recommend people to pick this up, which you can also easily read this in parts. So just read one short story and then take a break and read something else, and then come back to read another short story. It's really, really great. So the next prompt is a book that made you happy, and I have chosen Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, which is the first secret project that he has released this year. The third one is coming out very soon, and actually I also still have to read the second one, but I haven't even got my book yet because I ordered them from the Kickstarter. Yeah, so this book was just, it had cozy vibes, but there was a lot going on, and I really, really enjoyed everything about this. The world, I loved the spore seas, I loved the characters, I loved Hoyt, because how can you not? Yeah, so this just really made me happy all around, and I loved getting Easter eggs and tiny mentions of other things, and I was like, oh my god, this means so much. So yeah, I can only recommend people to pick this up, and I think it's coming out, or is it? I think it's already out by traditional publishers too, so you can grab it at any bookstore. Okay, then the next prompt is my favorite book to movie or TV show adaptation of the year. I haven't watched any adaptations this year. I'm really bad at catching up with TV shows at the moment. I just read more, I guess, at least at this point in time. But two series that I'm anticipating and looking forward to are the Percy Jackson series, which is supposed to come out next year on Disney Plus, and then also the First Law movie that is in talks, and there have been some news. So I don't think they're filming yet, so it might fall through, but I'm keeping my eye on that because I have hopes for that project, and I hope that they don't mess it up. Okay, so the next prompt is most beautiful book that I've bought, which I just have to raise this up, Tress of the Emerald Sea by Brandon Sanderson, because these are the special editions, the Kickstarter edition, the Dragonsteel editions. So this is a leather bound, the cover looks great. I think you should have seen this at some point. This is the spine, and this is the back, and then there's also end papers, which are great, and then there are illustrations in the book too. This is one of them, and then I think my favorite has to be not this one, also not this one. Shit. I don't find. I'm not. Nope. Fuck. Where is it? Where is it? Am I dumb? Am I misremembering something? I'm just gonna show this one because it's also really, really nice. Oh my god. Here, you go. Very pretty. Yeah, so this is treasured for me. I got the second book, but it's at my dad's place, so I still have to go back there to get the second book again. And then I'm excited to see what the other ones look like, because yeah, just amazing. And also special mention, quick mention, I was in Italy in March, and I got this edition of Percy Jackson. If you haven't noticed the theme, this is kind of like my childhood. If I had to choose books for my childhood, it would be Percy Jackson. So I had decided that I wanted to pick up some Italian books to practice my Italian, because I took some classes at university, but yeah, I'm not taking classes anymore. So I was like, okay, I need something easy. I wanted to pick up Percy Jackson, and I saw that they had this, which was basically twice as much as a single volume. So I was like, I might as well get all 5 books. So this is a bind up of the first 5 books of Percy Jackson, and this is the cover, which I find really nice. Yeah, and it's like, there's nothing special in here. It doesn't have end papers or anything, but I just thought it was really nice. Okay, and then the final prompt. The final 2 books that I have here and that I'm mentioning in this video is what books do you really have to read by the end of the year, or what do you really want to read by the end of the year? And you might also be familiar with these books because I've talked about them before. And so that would be The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu, because I want to start the Dandelion Dynasty. I've heard nothing but good things about this. I have heard that even if the first one isn't the best thing that you read, you should push through because it just gets better. And I have the highest hopes for this. I am hoping that I won't be disappointed and that it will live up to my expectations, but I will have to see. So this book is priority number 1. And then the second book that I also want to read and pick up soon is Malice by John Gwynne, which I also mentioned. The first book in the Faithful and the Fallen trilogy, which I have also heard a lot of good things about. Yeah, excited to pick this up. Excited to make my way through excited to make my way through all of John Gwynne's books that he has written so far. And like getting to The Shadow of the God is definitely a goal that I have. But yeah, I will have to see. Yeah. So this is the final book. And that's everything. I think there technically are more questions to the Midyear Freakout Tag. For example, I didn't talk about my favorite, I think, character crush or something, because I just couldn't think of an answer. I was like, yeah, I don't know. So I just left it out. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. I'm hoping that I will get this edited as soon as possible, because I am planning to post it tomorrow. And there were a lot of silences in this video, which you won't see because I will edit them out. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you have any answers to any of these questions, let me know in the comments. What are you guys reading at the moment? Drop a like to this video, and thank you so much. See you next time. Bye!